That is the Jawan, a man who at his old age, and yes, age is a number, is still Jawan. He's broken all records.
What you're looking at right now is the biggest hit in the history of Bollywood. 1,000 crore success story.
इसलिए कह रहा हूं कि शाहरुख खान की इस फिल्म ने नए रिकॉर्ड बना दिए हैं.
But what if I told you that we're getting all of this wrong? That there is more to the success of Jawan than what meets the eye? What if I told you that we've only scratched the surface of what makes Jawan so popular? See, most of the discussion around the film's victory has surrounded it being a
pan-India star cast, out and out pan-India film.
It's a perfect pan-India film.
or the political narrative of the film.
Over how parts of this film's story were a kadak message for the Modi government on issues of unemployment, farmer suicides, loan write-offs for the rich.
आप लोगों ने जवान फिल्म देखी है? मैंने सुना है कि बहुत अच्छी है. उसमें शाहरुख खान एक चीज कहते हैं कि कोई वोट मांगने आए तो धर्म के नाम पे वोट मत देना, जाति के नाम पे वोट मत देना.
देश में सरकारी हॉस्पिटल्स की हालत बहुत खराब है, ये हम अक्सर सुनते हैं, लेकिन एक्चुअली में कितनी खराब है और उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है लोगों की जिंदगियों पर, ये हमें पता चला इस फिल्म से और गोरखपुर ट्रेजेडी से.
But what if I told you that there's a missing key piece of the jigsaw puzzle? And if we don't fully understand what made this movie successful, then the future of Indian cinema lies in danger. See, the equation for Jawan's massive box office may appear to be simple. We need a big pan-Indian mass masala film that appeals to people across the nation. So collaboration happens between a director who makes great commercial cinema down south, combined with the biggest star of Bollywood, and this is the recipe for a surefire pan-Indian hit. Well, is it that simple? Does that explain everything? See, when I dug in a little deeper to explore this collaboration and understand what was making this movie successful, I discovered a story. A story of two men who embrace the magic of cinema to fulfill their dreams. A journey of dreams, ambitions, crushing failures, and dizzying highs. A journey spanning over a decade between a breakout talent who with all of 5 films has become one of the biggest directors ever, and the other an actor who is the face of Indian cinema. The story is the key here, because the secret to Jawan's success lies in this story. Look at these two images on screen. I promise I'll come back to this by the end of the video as I explore the secret of Jawan's 1,000 crore success. 4th November 2013. A Facebook post pops up from Tamil director Atlee Kumar's account. The photo was with Shah Rukh Khan. The caption read, "I love you, SRK sir." This was just over a month after the blockbuster debut of Atlee with his film Raja Rani, and a few months after SRK had given the biggest Indian hit with Chennai Express. Yet, what followed in the comment section was pure chaos, as most people refused to believe that the picture was real, almost as if it was too good to be true for a newbie Tamil director to share space opposite the king of Bollywood. This was not an isolated occurrence. Fast forward 5 years later, and it was the IPL match between Chennai Super Kings and Kolkata Knight Riders. In attendance was Shah Rukh Khan, the owner of KKR, and he was seated next to Atlee. Things were very different for both of them this time around. While Shah Rukh Khan had delivered a string of flops that had pushed him into a 4-year hiatus, Atlee had delivered 4 blockbusters in a row and become one of the very few directors in Bollywood with a 100% success ratio. At this point, nobody had a clue of what SRK's next film would be.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think inshallah another month or two I'll figure out the time and everything.
मेरे पास कोई फिल्म नहीं है इस वक्त, मैं किसी पे काम नहीं कर रहा हूँ.
A barrage of tweets flooded the internet, trolling Atlee for his skin color and being next to the actor. What followed next was something that no one would predict. A pandemic hit the country. Cinema halls were shut down. A massive hate campaign was fueled against Bollywood. Film after film from the industry was getting rejected. And yet, during this period, a 300 crore film was greenlit during a Zoom call. It would be starring SRK, produced by his own home production Red Chillies, containing a majority of actors from Kollywood. The working title was Lion and the director was Atlee. 300 crores over a Zoom call. How is this possible? See, to put things into perspective, Shah Rukh Khan's previous 2 films before this had failed to cross even 100 crores in India. And while Atlee was a success, he was in no way in the leagues of a Rajamouli or a Mani Ratnam or a Shankar. Here was a Tamil director who didn't understand a single word of Hindi, directing the most expensive and ambitious film of the biggest Bollywood star, all over a Zoom call. The question is how and why did this happen? What if I were to tell you that SRK and Atlee's paths could have crossed way before Jawan? That there was a time before Jawan that Shah Rukh Khan and Atlee could have worked together on a mega project. And it was this project, 13 years before the release of the film, that sowed the seeds for their mega collaboration. A good place to start is the year 2010, as this is the year where the seeds of success for both SRK and Atlee's mega collaboration were sown. A year where the superstar of the South reigned supreme with his film Robot. The film's premise of a humanoid robot gone wrong is the literal depiction of a man's biggest dream turning into his nightmare. Off-screen, however, the film was a dream come true for one man, Atlee. Well, how you may ask? Picture this. A boy purely on the merit of his short films gets an opportunity to work as an assistant director for Shankar, one of the biggest directors of the country, on the most anticipated film of the country. Atlee had truly made it. How, you may ask? See, like a good student, he imbibed the 2 qualities of Shankar to great effect. They were making a film rich with spectacle and presenting the hero of his films in a never-before-seen avatar, both in terms of the visual presentation and the scope of the characterization. And that is the same formula that has worked wonders for Jawan. The audience loves seeing SRK in so many different avatars, as a charming, handsome hunk, while also being bowled over by his bald avatar. And Vikram Rathore, well, that's a different story.
बेटे को हाथ लगाने से पहले बाप से बात कर.
At the time Atlee was setting foot into the industry as an assistant director, Shah Rukh Khan was at the zenith of his career, with incredible success, awards and unmatched global popularity. Shankar had already approached SRK for the project, but he turned it down. Numerous articles suggested that SRK opted out of Robot, creative differences with Shankar, as he insisted on doing the visual effects with his own home production Red Chillies VFX. Robot was a film whose success was heavily reliant on the quality of the technology used to produce the movie. But SRK didn't want any of the special effects to be outsourced from any other foreign companies. So what did all of this lead to? Well, a dream. A dream to be recognized as a pioneer in cinema. SRK already had iconic films, a carefully constructed public persona, and was unquestionably the biggest star, an icon of love. The question is, what would the next frontier for him be? What would his legacy look like? After ruling the industry for so long, Shah Rukh Khan wanted to give back, and the endeavor was visual effects. Through Red Chillies VFX, he wanted to create films that had world-class VFX that would rival Hollywood blockbusters at a fraction of their cost. This wasn't just another incremental initiative. No, this was something he hoped would make the country proud. A true Make in India initiative.
You know, the VFX or special effects or new technology that came into India, वो एक एक्टर हुआ करता था यार, शाहरुख ऐसा बोल रहे नाम ही अजीब था, उसने किया यार. I want to leave something in this film industry which is beyond films, which takes our films worldwide. मेरे कंट्रोल में टेक्नोलॉजी है.
And the result was Ravan, a homegrown superhero visual effects extravaganza, a movie that was touted to be India's answer to the Marvel films. And what was Atlee doing around this time? He was making short films, publishing them on social media platforms, and patiently hoping to get enough attention to finally make his feature debut. In the year 2011, while one man was trying to break into the industry, the other was trying to take it to the next level. The journey bringing them together for the biggest project of their lives. What happened next? While Atlee's film garnered massive traction on social media, paving the way for him to finally make his debut film, Ravan was panned by both the audiences and the critics. Fast forward over 12 years, and the film has become a benchmark for visual effects in the country. It almost seems as if every time a new film reliant on special effects is released, the comparisons inevitably happen with Ravan, making one realize how groundbreaking the VFX work was back then. Yet, all of this didn't matter in 2011. The film was panned, and a series of passion projects followed, with Fan and Zero. Yet each of these films failed Shah Rukh Khan. While they pushed the boundaries in terms of the VFX, the production quality, and the concept underlining them, they all were big commercial failures. The thing was, Red Chillies was not finding a project of massive scale and spectacle that could justify the money they invested to conjure up the visual effects wizardry. While SRK had the technology, what he lacked was a director who could manage his stardom. Failure of these films that pushed SRK into a 4-year hiatus. The question was the dream undone? Were these investments in vain? Was SRK losing his magic? Enter Jawan, his final bet, his most ambitious project, heavy on VFX. SRK's dream, his big bet, finally paid off this time. Seriously, this movie is a visual treat. The visuals is what the audiences have specifically praised after watching it.
Film, there's VFX in this movie where I'm like, yo, this is so good, you don't even notice it.
Their VFX department is like world class.
The equation had finally worked. And it isn't just the visuals, but also the presentation. SRK in this movie is a literal superhero, only without the superpowers. What has worked differently this time around? SRK finally found the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle. It's the fact that he collaborated with a director who understands the grammar of commercial cinema. It's Atlee who made SRK's dream a reality. The question is, how did Atlee create mass magic for SRK? See, the trajectories of SRK and Atlee as creators couldn't have been more different over the last decade before Jawan. A question kept intriguing me. Here was a man who directed 4 huge blockbusters, true blue commercial films, 100% track record. Yet he was criticized for being unoriginal. And here was Shah Rukh Khan with his passion projects, incredibly appreciated for his originality and the strides in VFX. Yet the failure of these films pushed him into a 4-year hiatus. How were two people with such incredibly varied sensibilities collaborating on such an epic project? Is the secret the synergy? To answer this question, we first need to understand magic and cinema. There are two kinds of magicians, the innovators and the showmen. Specifically in the last decade, I would define SRK as an innovator and Atlee as a showman. And Jawan is the collaboration of an innovator and a showman. You may have seen several social media posts complaining about the lack of originality in Jawan. Well, then why is this film working? Well, it is because the innovator and the showman have pulled off a careful balancing act. Remember, Atlee is a showman, and for the showman, it's more about the applause and the style, the performance rather than the art. The showman shows you a coin trick that you've seen many times before.
Are you watching closely?
But still delivers a performance that is incredibly memorable. You're aware that you've seen the trick, but you still want to be fooled. I can clearly picture Atlee watching some of the massiest films of Rajinikanth and Vijay. and then watching some of the most iconic romantic films of SRK and falling in love with the actor, but then wondering, why haven't I seen SRK in such a larger-than-life Masi avatar? My goal is to create a new dimension for SRK. And then he made Jawan. The treatment of the story may not be novel, but can you say the same about the treatment of Shah Rukh Khan? The magic trick is making you feel awe and emotion, even though you know what's coming, even though you've seen it many times before. In Atlee's films, the tricks keep coming again and again. And yet, there's another kind of magician who's the innovator, who actually invests time and energy to create something new. With Fan and Zero, the goal of Red Chillies was about making the illusion the reality of the film. You don't feel the VFX, you don't notice it, it is imperceptible. The greatest magic trick was making you as a viewer not notice it. It is deceiving you. Yet as it is with the most complex of magic tricks, the innovator faced failure. There needed to be a way that all of the tricks could connect with a mass audience who deserved a larger-than-life experience with such tricks. Jawan. Jawan is basically what you get where brilliant VFX, massive production quality meets mass and fanboy cinema. The secret ingredient is the synergy between the creators of the film. And if the upcoming big commercial projects do not have a sense of synergy about what the director and the actor feels most passionately about, then we are in for tough times. Because the audience knows better, because they won't feel the magic.